Welcome to Far From Eden. Good to have you here. If it's your first time, hi. Uh, we do all kinds of things on the channel. Most of all, we recognize that we're very far from Eden, where things were perfect and yet not quite good enough for Eve. She decided to break the one rule. And we talk about how there are strong parallels about in society compared to the Garden of Eden and the fall. Is this like a second fall? Maybe. So we kind of explore that. Last time, yesterday, my video was a suggestion, an idea from one of the subscribers, which I'm very grateful for. And today, same thing. And sadly, I am very behind on emails. I try to keep up. This email came to me back in April, and I am going to absolutely butcher the name. I apologize in advance. The idea was from Dijon Niehaus, I think. I'm not sure. Pretty sure Dijon is right. Not sure about the last name, but thank you so much. He sent in a link to an article from Business Insider. It's kind of a personal essay. I guess you can write personal essays, submit them, and they print them. You know, with my tinfoil hat, I go, are they real? Are these real people? I don't know. Which ones did they decide to publish, and what narrative does that push? We can speculate. So this one is all about, well, it's from a young lady. I don't know how young. I haven't read it yet. I'm very excited to read through it with you guys and just see what we think. But what I do know so far from the little mini synopsis is that it's from a lady who has children and yet does not want to date single fathers. Fair enough. You've got preferences. You're entitled to those preferences. You're also, if you make certain preferences, and this is true for any of us, right? If you have certain preferences, you choose also what comes with that. You know what I'm saying? So if one were to make certain choices, one might need to find themselves in a predicament where they need to buy a dog and die alone. Just saying. So we'll see what we think about that. So again, from the Business Insider. And thank you, Dijon, for this article. It's great when I get ideas from you guys, whether it's an idea. Last time we covered Rudyard Kipling poem. So you never know. And if you guys think it's interesting or relevant or what have you, then it is. So then I'm not trying to guess what it is connects with you guys as much, if that makes any sense. So let's get into this. I can't wait to see what she has to say about this. I honestly, if you've been here before, you may know that in my spare time, one of the things I like to do is watch, old reruns. Obviously has to be reruns, sadly, of Kevin Samuels. And he has literally asked women on his show how they feel about, he's asked single mothers how they feel about, single fathers. And I've seen them hesitate. And I'm like, really? Really? Wow. And yet, if a man were to hesitate at the idea of dating a single mother, well, that's not okay. Nicola Prentice has been a single mom to 2 sons for 5 years. When she started dating again, she found herself to be too judgmental of single dads. She has quit using dating apps and goes out mainly with men who aren't fathers. All right, hold on one second. I already have a problem. and it isn't even her talking yet. But when she started dating again, she found herself to be too judgmental of single dads. Okay, so her solution to that was, I'm just going to go out with men who aren't fathers, rather than go, wow, I'm judging these men pretty harshly. Would I like that the other way around? You know, the whole golden rule thing, do unto others. The how would you feel if that was done to you kind of a deal. No, no. The solution is not reflection. The solution is not, maybe there's something the matter with me. Maybe I need to adjust the way I'm looking at this. No, we're just gonna, okay. Alrighty then, here we go. She sounds nice. Quote, I was away for a month, home for a month, end quote. He said on our first off the app coffee date, recounting the end of his marriage. He was a nice guy, in good shape and attractive. But he had kids, and the judgment words flew out of my mouth before I could think to soften them. How was that conducive to fatherhood and a relationship? She said that out loud? The judgmental words flew out of my mouth before I could. Okay, I have a different. Okay, that's rude. That's rude. And it comes with the misunderstanding of what fatherhood is. It's absolutely conducive to fatherhood because fathers provide for their children. They provide security, they provide protection for their children. Say what you want, whatever, about whether they should do that or are required to do that for the wife. In my personal opinion, yes, but only when and if she's an actual wife, not soft life, not career woman life, but like, actually beneficial to his life. Anyway, that's it. You can see my other videos. Let's see what I think about that. How is that conducive to fatherhood and a relationship? Very, very is what it turns out. Okay. I couldn't stop myself from judging single dads. My ex had also been away with work all the time, leaving me to do the lion's share of raising our 2 young children. I'd had to adjust my life and work around his work. Good Lord, have mercy. That's what you're supposed to do, ma'am. That's called being a wife and a mother. And it's not around his work. It's around the work that provides your children and you the provision and the security that a family requires. I'm sure it wasn't your job, ma'am, that did that. So what the heck? Okay, what was your job supposed to be then? Huh? What would you have rather it be? Because I'm sure you liked your vehicle. I'm sure you liked your vacations. I'm sure you liked your house. You didn't complain about any of that, did ya? But you sure did complain about, oh, he's working all the time. I have to do the lion's share. What are you supposed to be doing in between getting your nails done and getting your coffee at Starbucks? I'm generalizing, of course. I'm sure that's not at all how she was. And I'm sure that's not at all how most women are at all. All right, she had to adjust her life around his work. It was clear I could never see this guy again. This date was bringing up resentment on behalf of a woman I'd never even met. I ignored his text to meet up again. Oh my God, you are so rude. You are so rude. I just scared Lola. Lola's my little dog if you're new here. Of course I have a little dog. Of course I do. So that is the cue that I'm to remember to ask you kindly to please like the video so more people can see this. I am interested in reaching more women if possible, because I know there are a lot of women out there who understand these things and just don't quite know how to voice it. And maybe there are some things that they don't know, but if they knew those things, they might adjust their worldview. That's kind of one of my goals. And why is it one of my goals? Because, well, change needs to happen, and because you guys have asked me to, if I could reach women, that would be great. So I'm going to try to do it. All right. So she can't see this guy again because he was away for a month, home for a month. That was his job. What if that was the job, that was what the job required? What if that was what I am sure that's what provided them. Men don't work for their own glory, generally. There are some, but generally, men work. It's a means to an end. Men work to pay bills. Men work to provide for their families. Men work for that reason. She's looking at it like, he's out there having all this glory and enjoying himself. Meanwhile, I'm working at home. No, that's not what's going on. You think he wants to be, a wage slave? Do you think he wants to be away from? Good Lord, lady. But I know for a fact there's tons of women like this that resent their husbands for working. Yet, if he were to have lost his job, probably it would have been like, well, you can't even keep a job. Da-da-da-da. It's not going to be good enough. Probably not for this lady. I'm sure this lady's different. So she totally ignored him because he worked. And she was resentful on behalf of a woman she'd never met. She met this guy once. She automatically took his ex-wife's side because, we got to pick sides, and was angry with him. For all you know, his ex-wife was an absolute nightmare. For all you know, you have no idea what he was dealing with. You have no idea why he had to be in that job. You have no idea what the wife was like. You're assuming man bad, woman good. Assuming, going into it with that. Of course. Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she? Oh my gosh. I think it's so funny, Dijon. You sent this to me. You must have been like, oh, her head is going to explode. And you were right. Oh my goodness gracious. It's like, oh, I'm going to have an aneurysm. No, I'm really not. I'm fine, but it's funny. That one time when I was reading one of these articles to you guys and I blurted out, this is giving me neurological symptoms. I feel like we're doing that again. Oh, good God. Okay. She continues. Then there was another guy I got on well with. She's clearly British. Her name is Nicola. And she said, then there was another guy I got on well with. That's not an American. He was chatty and fun. Oh, she's definitely British. My father's British. I can spot you guys. Just kidding. This is the humor, another British trait. We got to have the humor to when it's very serious and you're dealing with, bad things, that's when my humor will come out. It's a little dark. It's not, you guys get it better than I would say most women. But I don't think that most women deal with difficult circumstances with humor and dark. I don't know, but it's good that you guys get it. Okay, Okay, then there was another guy I got on well with. He was chatty and fun, but he had a daughter who he had 50-50 custody of and saw himself as the stable, less chaotic parent who had clear routines. Well, that was probably accurate. It's probably accurate. Maybe it was true, but I couldn't see beyond the things my ex probably said about me and our custody situation. Oh my gosh, she has such issues. So he said he has 50-50, and he saw himself as less chaotic and clearer routines, more structure, which is generally the case, which is why you have such giant, huge, different outcomes. That's not the proper way to say it, but I don't know. Words fail me. Single fathers have much better outcomes than single mothers. Just is what it is. She couldn't see beyond the things her ex probably said about me in our custody situation. At the time, I was fighting against losing 50% of my time with my children. Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. At the time, I was fighting against losing 50% of my time with my children. Ma'am, they're not your children, and it's not your time. You, I'm guessing by what statistics show, you probably are the one that filed for divorce. And so, who lost what now? Who took what? If you're the one saying, yeah, it's over, marriage is over, ma'am, what did your children lose? Let's just stop for 1 second. The dad lost a lot. He didn't ask for that. Men don't generally leave. It's mind-boggling to me that someone would feel this way and be so absolutely clueless, have no introspection, no ability to self-reflect. She's dating these men, and rather than see them as human beings, people, she's seeing her ex. She's seeing what he probably said. She's seeing what that man probably does and how his ex-wife is probably an angel. Lady, you have massive issues. Anyways, she was fighting against losing 50% of her time with her children, and it stirred up panic and loss for me. I never had a second date with that guy either. Well, he dodged a bullet. So thank you for that. Lord have mercy. So men out there, if a woman ever, you had a first date with her and then she skedaddled, or you haven't had a date, this is what you have avoided. This is the bullet that you have dodged. So let this be some kind of solace for you. Even a single dad who'd moved 4 hours away from his children and only saw them over school holidays wasn't right for me. What kind of father moves that far away from his kids? Probably he had to for work. There was probably a good reason. And what I can tell you right now is that this lady doesn't know. All she knows is he moved 4 hours away, and she is automatically assigning malintent. He's negligent. So one guy, he abandons because he works too much. The other guy, 50-50 custody. She's paranoid now, like, oh, my ex must have said these things about me. Why? Because you talk crap? And maybe look, why are you so bothered? Maybe your ex did say your house is a little chaotic. You don't have as many rules. You don't have the structure. Why would that bother you unless it were true? People say things about me. Certain things will bother me, but other things, if it's just not true, it's like, okay. Especially if anyway, yeah. What kind of father moves that far away from his kids? I have questions for her. I want to know what her relationship is with her father, but I doubt we'll find that out with this story. I don't think we're going to be privy to that information. However, I think we can probably make some assumptions. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't rearrange my pages. Oh, sorry. It starts at the bottom. Men with children couldn't win. If they had equal custody, I felt like they were the enemy. I didn't want to think about my own sons being taken away from me. If they spent less time with their children, I had negative reaction to that too. And yet, weirdly, the problem wasn't her. It couldn't have been her, even though she's got a problem and she's thinking all these things. It's still, the problem isn't her. The problem is all these men. Yeah, see how that works? Now you guys are all having neurological problems too. Okay, there's a new heading. I started dating men without children. Well, lucky them. The answer for me has been to date men without children. I'm thinking naughty things right now. I will share in a moment. The answer for me has been to date men without children. I found this to be easier, as I only have time to date when my children are with their father. I'm not looking for someone to be a father to my children. I have no desire to mix those two worlds. I think that's fine with the men you're dating. I think that's fine. I have a feeling they're not really looking for more than that with you either. Navigating dating apps as a single mother was tricky at first. If the app didn't require me to mention my children, I didn't. Well, why would you? I mean, maybe you've never heard of a lie by omission. Just because you're like, well, it didn't ask, so I didn't say. Here's the thing that women do. Technically, it wasn't a lie. Well, technically, that's true. That's when moral relativism is sneaking in. When you hear technically, you go, nope, the BS-o-meter is going off. Sorry. Oh my Lord. So she just didn't mention it because why would you? You know, it's like, fine. It's not like, I mean, it's not like these men are people. It's not like they might be looking for something serious. They might have had, you know, their hearts broken before. They might have been through the ringer. That doesn't matter. It's your life. You know, you go, girl. Ugh. Hope nobody's eaten recently. Instead, I would bring them up only when it was relevant. Sweetheart, it's relevant. You're a single mother. That means you more than likely divorced their father. It means you had children with another man. It means you may or may not want more children. I don't know if you're physically capable, but this changes. How would you like it, lady, if men were omitting major parts of who they are? This lady has no idea. She does not care. She doesn't think about what it would be like if the same thing or equivalent was done to her. doesn't matter to her. She doesn't care. So she'd bring up her children only when it was relevant. I wonder if her children would love to know one day that sometimes they're just not relevant, which sometimes meant I never heard from my date again. Instead, I would bring them up only when it was relevant, which sometimes meant I never heard from my date again. Is she saying that once she brought it up, then she didn't hear from the guy again? Yeah, because you're a liar. Require me to mention my children. I didn't. Instead, I would bring them up only when it was relevant, which sometimes meant I never heard from my date again. I think that's what she means. She's not making it super clear with the way she's wording this, but yeah, because you lied. So they were like, yeah, you're lacking in character. Here we go. So I tried not mentioning kids at all to see if that worked better. Oh, so just never tell them. I see. The problem wasn't lying. The problem was I didn't keep lying. Well, she's just, okay, sure. I try not mentioning kids at all. Kids at all? Like, you mean your children? Just kids in general. Talk about distancing yourself to see if that worked better. But it was weird and uncomfortable, and my story just didn't add up. Oh my God. It was really hard to lie. I couldn't keep my story straight. That's the translation. But it was weird and uncomfortable. Yeah, lying is not supposed to be comfortable. And my story just didn't add up, right? Because you're lying about who you are and what you've done. And oh my, when I was living in a city where I didn't have many friends and in an apartment that was more expensive than one a single person would normally rent, I went back to mentioning being a mother. Oh, oh, you were getting child support. And oh my goodness, she's getting so much child support. Look at this. Let's look deeper into this little, I gotta read between her lines here. Why was I living in a city where I didn't have many friends and in an apartment that was more expensive than one a single person would normally rent? Well, that would be because you're there because you started a family there and then you blew it up. And you can rent that apartment because your ex-husband is paying for it. I went back to mentioning being a mother. Yeah, because you had to explain where the money was coming from. That's the part that didn't add up. So that also means she clearly wasn't talking about that she had been married before. Boy, what were you just inventing a whole different identity? The nerve, the nerve, the nerve. Lord have mercy. Dating men without children has been less complicated. Some run a mile at the first whiff of children, but others stick around and have no problem with it. This lady has no idea why men say no when they find out she has children. It isn't because they have a problem with children. Men generally like children quite a lot, especially their own. Other men's children that you have birthed, that they think, am I going to be responsible for these kids? Are these kids going to be a problem? Who's their dad? Is their dad going to be a problem? They don't want that. They don't want that. You know, let me put it this way. Women understand shopping. Women understand that used things are cheaper than new things. And if you're in a store and say you're looking at handbags and you see one has, a mark on it, or it's, you know, been damaged in some way, you wouldn't pay full price for that. That's ridiculous. Why would you pay full price for that? Women understand that concept. They don't understand why they don't get that men don't want to buy used either. And I'm just talking about shopping. But I love how she says some run a mile at the first whiff of children, as if it's a character flaw in them and not them recognizing character flaws in her. Some stick around and have no problem with it. Yeah, because they're sticking around, but they're not signing up for a relationship. They're like, eh. Or there's two types. There's one type that'll stick around that's just knows what you're good for and likes that right now you're not asking for more, so it's just fun time. And the other type is the type that has no idea what women like her are all about. I'm not going to generalize it to all women because I'm trying to be better about that when I am on all the platforms. When I start publishing to like special content on, say, locals, then I might broaden some things that I say. Good Lord. I've met some men who were brought up by single mothers, which gave them respect for my setup. No, it made them simps, and they didn't know yet that you were dangerous. That's a problem. Unfortunately, again, you've got two types of men raised by single mothers. You got the men who will defend other single mothers because they're used to defending their mothers, or the men who grew up and saw what their mothers were and that their fathers weren't the pieces of trash that their mothers said they were, and now they've got no use. So that's what I've seen. Goodness gracious. Gave them respect for my setup. A few have had complex relationships. Oh, here she goes. A few have had complex relationships with their own mothers and are drawn to the nurturing side I've developed since becoming one myself. If you have had complex relationships with their own mothers, yeah. Complex meaning they've sort of been hurt and they didn't have the unconditional love from their mothers that works when you have the strong father that shows them how difficult life can be and helps provide the coping skills and the reality of all of it. And the mom is the safe, warm, nurturing place to come to. You need that balance between the two. And that's a terrible thing to take advantage of in a man. It's a horrible thing. On my breaks from motherhood. Ma'am, there are no breaks from motherhood. I'm also free from the constant issues and tensions that can come from having an ex who has to remain present in my life. What? I am also free from the constant issues and tension that come from having an ex who has to remain present in my life. That doesn't even make any sense. She's saying that her ex leaves her alone. I can see why. I would too. In that more carefree mode on my days off, the last thing I want to deal with is someone else's ex, even if it's just hearing about them. Yeah, they shouldn't have any kind of past. I don't want anybody with any kind of stories or difficulties or anything. They should come to me with perfect. Lady, who do you think you are? That you're just gonna, I don't know, you get all this? Lord have mercy. The last thing I want to deal with is someone else's ex, or even if it's just hearing about them. I prefer to keep dating simple. What does that even mean, lady? Honestly, what is that? I mean, I can make some judgments about what I think it means, but in the 5 years since I've been single, I'd say a third of the guys I've been interested in have been single dads, and two-thirds have not. All of them knew I had children. Well, what about the guys you didn't talk about it to? After deleting dating apps from my phone a few years ago, these days I only date men I'm already friends with. Oh, she's dipped into the friend zone, people. She's not going to the dating app. She's dipping into the roster. Okay, good to know. All right. I'm already friends with, even if they live in other countries. You're going to date guys who live in other countries. Some of them have already met my sons. Well, I guess if you're friends with them. Look, lady, you're not friends with these men, okay? What do they want with being friends with you? Really? What do they get being friends with you? Or do they just do things for you or pay attention to you because they're hoping to, you know, that you'll be physical with them? And I didn't learn this. I learned this from you guys. It's the sim it's symbology 101. They already met your sons. Well, what does that matter? If you're not looking at them for future, you know, relations, you're just looking to date and keep it simple. So why is it relevant now? Miss, I only talk about it when it's relevant. I make it a point to keep the romantic side of things for my off duty days. Off duty as a mother? You're never off duty as a mother. That's the thing. What do they even think motherhood is? Y- y- mm. Interestingly, the non fathers are just as hard to make plans with as the dads because they're equally busy, albeit with travel, hobbies, and friends, not looking after kids. I found they tend to be more casual. Sorry, so funny. I found they tend to be into more casual relationships than single dads who often seem to be searching for a life partner. Yeah, until they find out what you're like and that you lie and that you got massive issues with your ex. The reason I'm laughing, there's several reasons. This lady is a treasure. She says the non-fathers are just as hard to make plans with as the dads because they're equally busy. Listen what they're busy with, according to her: travel, hobbies, and friends. Yeah, you mean they're not gonna. How much do you think this lady demands? Sounds like she doesn't want them to have kids. She doesn't want them to have a complicated past with an ex or what have you. And she, they can't travel too much, have too many hobbies or too many friends. Like, it has to be everything about her when she wants it about her. If that's not what she's communicating, then she needs to work on her communication skills because that is what she is communicating. Also, uh, the men who she thinks were searching for a life partner, she says that, but I doubt once they got to know her, they would choose her just based on all the things we're seeing her. Red flags are, I mean, sirens are going off in my head. Motherhood demands a lot of my time and attention. I would hope so. So less intense relationships suit me better at this point in my life. I like not having to talk about where the relationship is going and how we could one day blend our families and juggle exes. I thought her ex wasn't a problem. She was like, she doesn't have an ex that needs to be constantly present in her life. And now she's talking about juggling exes? Lady, I've caught a couple discrepancies here. I've caught a couple discrepancies, ma'am. Did you not think any savvy women would read this at all? Probably not, because we don't generally look to, call out each other unless we have a reason to. She finishes with, single motherhood is complicated. I prefer my dating life to be simple. Well, ma'am, you're in luck, because what I think is that it's exactly what you should do. You should, if she asked me for advice, I'd be like, okay, ma'am, yes, you're 100% right. Keep your dating life simple. Yes, do it when your ex has the children. That way, you keep it away from the kids. Don't introduce them to anybody. Don't bring that into their lives. They don't need it. It's not good for them. Okay? They already have a father. You already picked them. As far as they're concerned, you should be done. Now, as far as, well, I'm just not looking to blend families right now. That's great, because you know what? Nobody's looking to do that with you either, because it's all about you. It's all about you, what you want, what you need, what your past hangups are, what your paranoia is, all of that. So yeah, keep it simple. And honestly, you're going to find that what you're looking for, ma'am, is pretty much what the men want you for anyway. And if any of you right now are like, see, women have the same drive as men. She just wants to go out there and ride the CC, etc. It isn't that. She wants attention. She wants validation. It isn't the physical experience of it. It's the being wanted, being desired, being validated, having attention, attention, attention. She communicated that all throughout this essay. We'll use their word. I'm being a bit of a writing snob right now. Wow. Thank you, Dijon, for sending that my way. That was just wow. Like, she actually wrote this and sent it in. And they were like, yes, this is excellent work. This is a point of view. We need to share this. This can help. Like, all the chain of events that came to putting this in public view as information, and like, wow, do you not know how bad you sound, lady? You're literally admitting to lying. You're admitting, like, all, okay, that's fine. Just keep telling us who you are. That way, these men out there don't have to get hurt by women like her. Just be honest about who you are and what you are. And she's lying a bit, but she's saying enough of the things that it's quite clear. And hopefully, like, when I translate for you, the women speak, and read between the lines and point out the discrepancies, it hopefully validates some of the things that you men have experienced. And if you haven't, then just count your lucky stars, because you don't want to. And there's a lot of these ones out there. Like, so many, too many. And they don't even know. She doesn't even know she's as bad as she is, which is crazy to me. But wow. Thank goodness it was short because I had more to say than she did. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this. That was fun. That was wild. I appreciate it. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. It's usually hilarious. You guys are always cracking me up in the chat. It's like comedy hour for me. I'm my cup runneth over with all of you guys. I'm so grateful for you. Really am. I want you guys to do something that feeds your soul. And like I said last time, even if you don't believe you have a soul, pretend you do and feed it and see what happens. And I love you guys. And I'll see you on the next one. See you tomorrow. Bye.